I'm Annette. Welcome to our 12th century fortress called La Fortezza. It took us about 5 years to renovate it. Let me take you on a tour. We're going into the main house. This is where I live and my husband lives when he's here. And I roll. But this is the main house. Come on in. So this is the foyer. We repurposed all sorts of lighting fixtures. So all the flea markets that I go to, we would search for lighting. And this is one of the lights that we repurposed. It's this beautiful sort of medieval light. We were all about making this modern, but yet sort of a nod to some of the older things that were in place many years ago. You'll see something that's very unusual. We have our exposed electrical, which I'm very into. Come on, I'll show you what it is. So we bought these very old fixtures. You press to turn them on. They're actually dimmers. These are modern, but they're made to look old-fashioned. So this is the guest room. This bedroom, we actually built this wall so that we would have a bathroom. So it would be an ensuite bedroom. We repurposed this. This was in the original house. I just moved it. And then we purchased sort of a lot of very old-fashioned looking lighting, but it's from a modern company that happens to also believe, like we do, that repurposing things is very important. So the whole idea behind this fortress is that we wanted to make sure we reused and repurposed as many old things as we possibly could, so we weren't buying a lot of new things. So there's a very nice mix of new and old here, which is sort of my philosophy. We have all exposed plumbing, which is very unusual. We have this extremely talented Italian plumber, and the plumbing is I've never seen it anyplace else. It's really cool. It's very one of a kind. This was here, but it's a built-in armoire, so they just sunk it into the wall, which I love. It's very much my style. All the paintings were bought at flea markets. I don't like to pay over like $200 for a piece of old art, so that's sort of my limit. And I do use a lot of Zara Home. I think Zara Home has a nice sort of very organic line. And so it's nice to pair with the really old things. It's not particularly expensive and very chic. So this was a fortress. So the fortress is not a really big building. It literally was a defensive tower, which means that there were soldiers living here. It essentially was a point where you could see people coming, approaching our town of Vivizzano. So this fortress would communicate with the fortress above us. Eventually, the fortress was bought by the Vatican. We think that the Vatican owned hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of acres in this area, and they moved their priests up here to farm the land. We think in our property, they grew wheat and they grew grapes. So this originally was 2 rooms. So we opened this up, the fireplace was here, and then we outfitted it with a hot box. Now I love juxtaposing things, so we have this beautiful Murano glass chandelier that I bought new. This console is amazing, this chest of cabinets, because I have all of my, oh, and I close it with like an old nail, which we found on the property, this nail. So I have all of my glassware in here. Obviously, I'm a prop stylist, so I collect lots of things. So I have a great story about this guy. One of my friends, one of my pickers, was shopping for me, and he took a picture of it and he goes, "This is pretty cool. Do you want this?" And I was like, "You know what? I do want this. I want this bust. I like it." And about 2 weeks after I put it here, I realized it looks like my dad. So I talk to him when I'm here by myself sometimes. I'm like, "What do you think, Dad? Do you like that?" So this house is very collected. I'm very much of I like to say collector. I mean, so the reason we bought this house really was not only the view, but the ceiling was here. These 2 brothers that owned this property, one of them was an architect and one of them was sort of the worker bee. So the architect would find all the cool stuff and then his brother would install everything. So this came out of an old barca, an old ship. If you want to sell me something, you know, show me an old ceiling and an old floor and I'll take it, wrap it up. All right, so then let's go into the kitchen. So we made this like super giant galley kitchen. We used a lot of really old sinks. So these were all, everything was recovered. This washboard, this sink, that sink over there. And then we used Carrara marble from the area, which is what these are. And then we had cabinets made. And I'm just like rambling on, like this is super easy to do. So this was a very daunting project. I write about it in my book, Italy is My Boyfriend. And there were lots and lots of challenges. I think anybody can do it, but it really does help to have a person on the ground and someone that understands the language and someone that has really good resources. So those are my tips. And read my book, Italy is My Boyfriend. If it doesn't scare you, you should do a project in Italy. So I didn't want to buy, you can buy American refrigerators in Italy with ice makers, all that stuff. But I liked these. This is the same company that makes Smeg, but this is the lower price Smeg. So these are made in Italy as well. And what we did is we put 2 refrigerators in instead of having one because I have a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm a chef, so I cook a lot of stuff. And then what we did, this is very interesting. So I bought this piece, but then I wanted a shelf above it. So I had the Italiano, the carpenter, make something that looked like it matched. And this is the thing about Italians, the craftsmanship is so amazing that you say, I want this, and they go, okay, and they just bring this exactly. And this shelf I bought at a flea market I'm gonna take you to, and it was 20 euros, and it was this color. And I was like, wrap that up. Yes, please. But yeah, so it worked really great and it's really funky and fun. And then I want to show you my most prized possession, and that is my LeConte range, which I always say I love more than my husband, and he's okay with it. So this is my spouse. I am married to an inanimate object, it's true. And this is a French stove, and it is amazing. There really is a difference. You know, I always thought people that love their stoves, like, you know, like, yeah, right, it has fire, it boils, but this is really an amazing piece of equipment. And then most of the pots are from Marrakesh. They do a lot of copper. And so I thought, well, I don't want to spend a fortune. There are some that are more expensive in here. People will be able to spot them, but then a lot of them aren't. So it's sort of like props and the real thing. So I'm a high-low person, so I like buying things for $1. And then of course I like, you know, something that costs as much as a car. So that's sort of my MO in life. So this is my kitchen upstairs. I love it so much. It's just functional, it served us well. And yeah, it was a labor of love for sure.